Hey, morning. I'm getting so many comments on the video 43, which I just published yesterday about technical interviews. In that video, I said that instead of interviewing programmers, you have to trust the market, the information the market can provide about those programmers. And if the market says that the developer is senior, then you just trust that and you get the person on board. And if the market is quiet about that person, that means that he or she is not senior. And there are so many comments about that. People are saying that it's not true, that maybe I'm not on the market, maybe I'm not on StackOverflow, I'm not on GitHub, I have no open source contribution, I'm still senior, I still deserve to be called a senior developer, and I deserve a good salary. And my question to you guys is, why do you think you are senior? Who says so? Why do you claim that you are a senior developer? Because nobody can touch your mug in the office and that's why you're senior? Because you have 2 paid vacations per year? That's why you're senior? Because your salary is the highest in the office among other 10 programmers and that's why you're senior? Because you're the only one who knows how to fix the bug in this legacy garbage which you guys are working on for the last 5 years? That's why you're senior? Because your boss loves you so much that he invites you for family parties and that's why you're senior? Because you stay in the office for the last 10 years and they cannot fire you, that's why you're senior? Or maybe because your friends think that you're senior. You have 10 friends, programmers, and they all call you a senior developer, and that's why you think they're senior. I have bad news for you. This is not why you are a senior developer. This is not why you can call yourself senior. There's something else. You are a senior developer if the market says so. And the market will say so if you can do something which nobody else or very few people in the world can do. That's why you're senior. When you come to me and I look at your profile, I ask myself, why this guy is senior? And my answer has to be because only he or she knows how to do something which nobody else or very few people in the world can do or can do right. So the market has to demonstrate to me that you're a senior. How the market can do that? Stack Overflow, for example, they say that all the trivial questions and answers are already there, nothing to answer, nothing to ask anymore. It's not true. I'm working with the code every day, I'm writing code, and new technologies, new questions arise every day. For example, right now I'm integrating Zolt cryptocurrency with Bitcoin, with blockchain. And I'm trying to use Ruby Gem for that, and I'm trying to investigate how it's done. And I see that there are so many questions unanswered about that because the technology is new, not so many people work with that, and I have many questions. And I see that I have to ask them. Where do I ask? I go to Stack Overflow. I need to know how to ask that question there. New technologies means new questions, and new technologies, they show up in the market every day. If you don't use new technologies, if you don't have questions or you don't have any answers, meaning that you don't use new technologies, meaning that you're not senior, meaning that you're doing something which so many people in the world can do. So why you're senior? You're middle level, you're junior level if you work with stuff which everybody else can work with. Why do I need to hire you if you are one of a million? You have to be one of 100. In that case, I'm going to hire you. In that case, I'm going to call you a senior developer. Let's talk about GitHub. They say, I'm not an open source person. I don't need to be there. My company doesn't allow me to work with open source. I'm not buying that as well. I'm working again on Zolt cryptocurrency for the last year, Ruby programming, and I, for the last 5 months or so, created, I think, 5 or 6 open source libraries for Ruby language. The Ruby seems to be the language which is 15 years old, seems to be everything is there, but I found an opportunity to introduce 5 or 6 new libraries which didn't exist before. Does it mean that I'm one of a million or I'm one of 100? I'm senior in that case because I managed to find an opportunity. I managed to find a niche to implement something new, which nobody else in the world was able to implement before. Does it make me senior? It does. Because I made something unique, I made something interesting for the market. And the market gave me some appreciation. Okay, I didn't collect hundreds or thousands of GitHub stars for those small libraries, but they will be there eventually. But I managed to find some places where my skills, my talents will be applicable. If you can't do the same, meaning that you're not senior, meaning that you're really working with something trivial, you're just using something which somebody else created before. You are one of a million, not one of 100. Let's talk about certifications. You know how many Oracle certified masters in the world out there? I tried to Google, I found numbers like 200 or 300, something like that. 200 people get that certification, Oracle Certified Master for Enterprise Architect, Java something. I got the same. I have the same certification. Does it make me one of a million or one of a few hundred? It does make me senior, right? I'm not trying to promote myself, even though I am proud of that certification. It took me some time to prepare. It was quite stressful. I managed to do that. What matters here is that I positioned myself as one of a few hundred, not one of a few million. If you don't have any certifications, it means to me that you are not senior. You don't deserve a large salary. No matter how much your mug was appreciated in the previous office, or how many family parties you attended with your previous boss. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is what the market tells me about you. And certification, if the certification is high level and expensive and really difficult to get, is in your hands. In that case, you're definitely senior to me because you are an elite group of programmers. Not among everybody else who can do what anybody else can do to me. But you're an elite group, and that elite group deserves high salary, high hourly rates. Let's talk about conferences. One of the commenters, Roman, is saying that software companies don't need conference speakers or outsource contributors. They need people who can write code full time. Yes, if we're talking about regular people who can just write code full-time, junior, middle level, or people who don't deserve any high salaries, then yes, of course, we don't need conference speakers. We don't need outstanding people. We need just regular people. But if you want senior developers, that senior developer has to prove to the market that their ideas deserve something. And how would you do that? Conferences is the perfect opportunity for that. Write something up, prepare a speech about something which is not trivial, which nobody ever done before, and present it at a conference. Large conference, some small conference, doesn't matter. But make yourself outstanding. Tell me, show me, demonstrate me that you are one of 100, not one of a million. In that case, you're senior to me. Again, how much your mug was appreciated in the previous office doesn't matter to me at all. Don't call yourself senior if somebody else told you that and there were just a few people before in the previous company. It doesn't matter. What matters to me is how small is the elite group of programmers you belong to on the market. And the smaller the group, the more valuable you are to me, the more senior you are. Hopefully that helps. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.